Now, as many of you, I am sure, are aware, we are encouraging our churches right across NWBA at the moment to mark what we're calling a season of prayer, when we have invited many of our we've invited all of our churches to share some prayer needs day by day, and you'll find those prayer needs on our website as we share them on a daily basis. So please take part in that. But it's interesting that as we felt it right to hold this season of prayer, our colleagues and our friends across Wales, which includes the NWBA churches in North Wales, also felt that this was a time to have what they're calling a wave of prayer across North Wales. Across the whole of Wales. So I'm delighted to be joined by John Thompson today. John is our NWBA Church Life Minister for North Wales. Good morning, John. Thank you for joining us today. How are you?
Yeah, good morning. It's great to be here. Thank you for inviting me. Yeah, I'm fine. Thank you. Really well.
That's brilliant. And of course, it's quite unique, I guess, that you, of course, are part of our Northwestern Baptist Association community. But as regional minister, I've been banned from this important part of my patch for the last, well, not now, but certainly some weeks ago. So you've kind of been holding the fort, I think, very much single-handedly. So how are you? How are the churches in Wales? How's life in Wales or in North Wales, first of all?
Yeah, I think it's been a real shock for a number of people that the Welsh government was actually allowed to create different laws for Wales as opposed to the rest of the United Kingdom for a start. But I think we kind of got used to it, and I think we're working it through along with others, and just hoping and trusting that people are making good decisions. Obviously our hospitals are generally smaller, and so things have been affected in different ways over this side of the Offa's Dyke, so to speak. But it's been an interesting time of re-evaluating our priorities for many people as well, and I think here in Wales people have a real heritage of like family and church that maybe some people are coming back to, and so we hope and pray that people will be attentive to God at this time, both within the church and outside.
And lockdown's been quite an interesting experience for you, because although you've retained your role as Church Life Minister for North Wales, you've actually, the bulk of your time is obviously spent as a local minister, and you've moved churches from St Asaph to Penrhacht in Bangor. And so that must be quite a fascinating challenge to become the minister of a church in lockdown. I think you invited me to my first online induction service, which seems a long time ago now. But you're beginning to get the church reopened, I think, or think about reopening the church. So how's that all been? Because it must be a very unusual experience.
Yeah, I mean, I was blessed in the fact that I had been moderator for a year, so I did know the leadership team well, and a number of folk at the church well, and they're a great bunch of people. They really are. We're really blessed, and so it's been a privilege to take that next step with that community and become their minister in this time. I think God had prepared me possibly in my career for this. I mean, I was doing IT, and I never realised that I'd be doing so much IT again in the whole of my life. And I'm not really sure I actually wanted to by some of the stresses and hassles it's been to get the systems together and things. But I've been able to serve at Penrhacht and help and encourage there, and they've got a very technically minded and able team of others there and we've been able to put things together to help the church during this time. I mean, what loveliest story I heard was of a lady who didn't have a clue and couldn't get onto any of the Zoom meetings, and someone in church just bought her a tablet, set it up and gave it to her. It was just beautiful. It's been lovely to see some of the older folk connecting with others on Zoom, and they've been reconnected with their families near and far. So it's been a real silver lining and a work of God and God's grace in spite of difficult times. It's been good to see how this pandemic has brought out the best in people in some ways, and that's been an example of that. Yeah, we've struggled with the youth and the children, but particularly with the youth, and we've got a youth worker starting for us next week in Penrhacht. So looking forward to that. That'll be a new challenge as Becca Williams joins the team. So yeah, but it's been an interesting time. Yeah, I mean, the Bags of Blessings was a brilliant opportunity as well, and I think we felt that we had the ability to engage with the community in a whole new way as a result of that initiative from NWBA. That was again an opportunity that we wouldn't have had but for this pandemic. Of course, we we recognise so much difficulty, so much isolation, so much misery and pain that has come from it, and for all those affected by it, those working with it. But obviously, there's been ways that God's moved that have been quite significant. So, yeah, it's been a great privilege. Long answer to your question.
No, that's absolutely right. It's interesting that you spoke a little bit about your youth and children's work, because anybody that knows your church, I mean, you're almost on the edge of the campus of Bangor University. I mean, there's about 3 shops, I think, between you and the first university building, and I mean, outreach to students at the university has always been a key part of I know your church's life and witness. So, I mean, I guess you're as near to anyone at the moment of the life of our universities. How's that impacted the church, or what, have you been able to support students? Is that something you just had to put on hold for a year?
Well, it's been a mixture. I think we've managed to keep our student coordinator role going, and our student coordinator has been busy with the students that have been coming to the meetings, and have been able to really support and help them. And we've seen them drift into the church, which on Sundays, which is fantastic. And one student actually has actually come to faith and is waiting to be baptized. So we're planning a baptismal service by affusion, which is the permitted method currently in Wales. It's very prescriptive what you are and aren't allowed to do with baptism in Wales. The rules are specific, but we're hoping to do that in first weekend of July. So it's been a mixture. There's been some students that have struggled, and I think speaking to students, it's really taken the joy out of learning, and I think that's just a general tragedy and a loss. But equally, many really struggling with mental health, but which obviously is more serious in many ways. But I think but for others, they found faith in a deeper way.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, it's interesting because talking about your student coordinator, obviously we at NWBA have had to change hugely in the last 12 months or so, and we're doing a lot more stuff online, which is, of course, is why we're having this conversation now. But I had heard actually from your student coordinator that they've been using some of my talks, and I've never really seen myself as a great speaker for students. I think I was sort of a bit too old for that now. So it's fascinating the way it opens up new doors for us. And that kind of, I mean, I'd like to talk a little bit about the wave of prayer, and just to tell us how we're connecting with that as we've been praying for churches in North Wales this week. But also, I mean, one thing that people are talking about a lot now, and you mentioned your background in IT, is what's being called hybrid services. Churches really asking questions now about saying, how can we continue to engage with people online? And I think earlier this week you went to a church in Carnarvon to try and learn from them. As the IT expert, how are you dealing with that? What sort of challenges, what sort of ideas are beginning to circulate for you?
Yeah, I think we've been on a journey with it, which is, I think when I used to be in the IT industry, they talked about staying away from the bleeding edge as opposed to that leading edge, and letting other people go through the problems. I don't think that hasn't really been an option. We've just had to get in there, and but it's been a real privilege. We started with a predictable and stable system of having a service that was a website and just a web page, but then we've gradually moved towards streaming. But the streamings, it does give you a connection with people, which is quite precious, and an opportunity to bring the congregation together. So the hybrid service is something we feel is worth contending for and spending time on, because it enables us to feel together, as well as being predominantly in one place. It enables others to join in with that act of worship. So I think we've, similar to others, we've had our successes and failures and some catastrophic ones, to boot. But everyone's been very gracious, actually, in the church community, very thankful for the things that we've done, hadn't taken it for granted, to their credit. And so I think it's been on the whole an interesting journey, but one we're hoping to get to a more stable system, and stop the minister being too ambitious. That's the other problem, I think.
Yeah. I suppose that's quite an important thing to say to people. You know, you're saying, look, we've had our catastrophes, we've made our mistakes, people have been gracious, because not everyone is an IT expert, and a lot of churches are kind of feeling a bit daunted at the moment. So maybe just saying to one another, you know, you don't have to always get it perfect. You will make mistakes, but give it a try. Now, I mean, we talked a lot about our season of prayer, the way that's kind of connected this week with the wave of prayer across Wales. So just tell us a little bit about that and how you've been working with that. And then I'm going to ask you to lead us in our prayers of intercession today.
So the Wave of Prayer was an initiative really driven by South Wales Baptist Association in conjunction with the Baptist Union of Wales and with the Baptist College down in Swansea. It's their annual conference called Momentum, which they have changed the format completely this year and turned into this Wave of Prayer around Wales that's run from Pentecost Sunday. So it's going for 3 days in each Welsh region. And it's been in Ilkeston, which was the first point of Baptist life in Wales back hundreds of years ago. And then it's worked its way sort of across and in a bit of a loop and then up round. So it's just been in Brecon for 3 days, and then it's up here in North Wales. And you can see the progress of the wave and what's going on with that on the NWBA northwales.wordpress.com website. If people want to be more interested in that, there's more there. And
we'll put the address.
Okay. So that's been really exciting to be part of that. We were invited to be part of that at the sort of conception stages, and to create a regional hub for North Wales. Of course, being in a different association, and we're not. I don't think we've been connected in that way. Possibly, I don't know. So it's great just to have that opportunity, and obviously with us having the benefit of Zoom, we've got 14 churches across North Wales, so fairly not a massive number, but they very disparate geographically. It's a good hour and a half down to Tywyn near Barmouth, and then another almost an hour over to Wrexham the other side from here, and Colwyn Bay in the middle. So it's one of those things that could give us an opportunity to bring us together in a stronger way. Now that we're doing this hybrid service tonight, this is Wednesday time of recording, so we're going to be having that hub meeting where we've been praying for the last couple of days. But the highlight for me was on the beach on Rosniger on Sunday afternoon. We had our family picnic. We were allowed to have up to 50 people outside here in Wales, so that was very exciting. We had more than 30, which was great because that was the previous limit. So, but we did a Mexican wave in Rosniger, which is the waviest place in North Wales. So it was at the beach there. So that was a nice way to welcome that in. And it's been great to see different people in different churches and different groups that have taken time out or cancelled their original groups and decided to pray. So whether it's been seed bomb prayers from the Sunday school, or whether it's been gathering together on Zoom this evening. So it's been the whole gamut, really. Yeah.